Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to today's final Now Encore series, creating a purposeful next act, aligning our life and work with our deeper purpose. And I think this is such a fitting topic as we're wrapping up the semester and the year, and then also moving into the holidays and moving into a new year. Also, today's workshop is co-sponsored by the UC Berkeley Retirement Center, a leader in retirement transition and planning for staff and faculty at academic institutions, and for us, including Berkeley, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and UC Office of the President. So I want to welcome all of our UC colleagues and retirees from across our UC community who've joined us today as well. And today's workshop supports our UC community no matter where you are in your career journey, whether you're just starting your career journey, entry or mid or later career. And it also kicks off a new initiative by the Retirement Center to support later career staff and faculty. And their initiative is called Later Career Inspiration for Thriving, or LIFT. And the initiative will continue in the spring with a series of 6 webinars on charting the journey to a fulfilling retirement in collaboration with the Association for Retiree Associations in Higher Education. And after each webinar, there'll be a facilitated small group conversation called Opportunity Circles for further discussion, reflection, and exploration of the topic presented. And so the first Opportunity Circle will discuss today's workshop, and it'll take place this coming Friday on the 12th from noon to 1. It'll be online via Zoom, and it'll focus on purposeful retirement. And again, no matter where you are in your career journey, it's never too early to plan and think about your vision for retirement. So if you would like to join, please register, and I'll drop the link in the chat in just a moment after I finish some introductions. And also, I'm just so thrilled and grateful to introduce our guide in helping us to create a purposeful next act, our presenter, Heidi Rosenfelder. Heidi is a seasoned executive coach and the founder of Third Acts, where she helps clients design a meaningful post-career life. She's also an associate at Creativity Partners, a consulting firm dedicated to helping organizations create healthy workplace cultures. And previously, Heidi led the leadership development team at Pixar Animation Studios, coaching leaders at all levels, facilitating team sessions, and designing and conducting Pixar's leadership training. In her first career, Heidi practiced employment law in the Bay Area, and she's a member of the California State Bar, and her coaching certification is from the Coactive Training Institute. Welcome, Heidi, and thank you so much for guiding us today.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Lisa, and also just for all your help with putting this program together. Really appreciate you. And I'm so excited to be with you all today. I wish we were in the same room and we could see each other in person and not just on little screens. But I'm grateful, regardless, to be with you in this virtual space. Just a quick little add-on to the wonderful introduction, Lisa. I have a long history at UC Berkeley too, so I know some of the context. I started my work here in the US as an intern at UC Berkeley, and then was an administrative analyst before I became a lawyer here. And now, as part of Creativity Partners, we coach and do a lot of team dynamics work on campus. So I'm familiar with the campus, and I deeply care about the campus. And I live in Berkeley. So just a little bit of an add-on there. And so purpose and aligning our life with our purpose, creating a really intentional act, maybe next act that aligns with our purpose, is a very deep part of my coaching practice. My clients come to me with questions around purpose all the time. What is purpose? Am I living my purpose? Do I even need a purpose? Why do I need a purpose? So all those questions come up in coaching quite often. And so I'm excited to dive a little deeper today I want to just alert everybody. I'm going to offer some thoughts and some tools, but it's a big topic. So we could literally spend hours going over this. So bear with me as I'm giving you some bite-sized tools today that hopefully will spark some additional thinking. Just move some things around the screen here. And let's dive in. So, what can you expect in our time together today? Lisa already mentioned the 2 pieces of paper that you'll need along the way. So, if you don't have those yet, that would be a good moment to grab those. And we are going to cover 4 main areas today. We're going to look at why purpose matters, and I will summarize some of the research there. We will also look at, okay, but how do we find purpose? And we are going to use the 3-act story structure there as a tool to discover patterns in our story arc. That's very dear to me based on my Pixar experience. I like using the 3-act story structure to kind of just look back to our story arc. We're also going to look at how we're going to talk about our purpose. And we're going to learn about a tool called the social CV, which is in distinction to all the regular CV that we have done so many times. Most of us in our lives had to do a lot of resumes. And so the social CV is an alternative to this standard way of telling people who we are. And we're going to end with setting some intentions and hopefully some clear steps that everybody will walk away with, even if it's just one small step that you want to take for yourself. A quick word on the mindset for today. So this is 90 minutes just for you. And I'm encouraging you to minimize distractions. And I know sometimes we have all kinds of things happening around us. And I saw one post in chat with childcare and all kinds of things are going on. So no worries if that is your reality, but as much as you can to minimize distractions is great. Stay curious and non-judgmental with yourself as well as with others. And be real and share what's comfortable sharing, as I'm sure you're used to. We are maybe going to break out into breakouts a little bit. I'm going to see how we progress in time, and Lisa is going to give you some more logistics on that. Breakouts are optional. If you don't feel comfortable sharing in breakouts, you're welcome to stay in the main room. But based on my experience running these workshops, we get so much out of sharing with others and hearing other stories. But so it's encouraged, but optional. So before we really get into the material, it'd be nice to see like where is everybody in their career right now. So Lisa is going to put up a quick poll, and the question you'll see there is which best describes where you are in your career. Are you early? Are you mid? Are you late mid? Are you close to retirement? Are you maybe already retired from UC? And I just love that all of us who are here today have a strong connection to UC Berkeley. What a wonderful group. And I wait for the results to come in. I've about 90% participated so far. Maybe a couple more. And I think we're probably ready to share the results. What do you think, Lisa?
Yes, we are sharing the results.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. I wasn't sure whether you were sharing them already. So yeah, so everybody, you can see what the group is made of. And welcome to all of you. All of you will have materials in this next time that that is relevant regardless of where you are, whether you're close to retirement or early in your career. So thank you for filling that out. And The joys of moving windows around on a little monitor. Let me just close the poll off so I can see you again. There you are. And I just saw somebody posted somebody mentioned in a direct message they appreciated the mention of the breakouts being voluntary. And so definitely, do what's comfortable for you today. So let's dive in. Why does purpose matter? There's all kinds of research going on right now, and it's very clear that the sense of purpose, some sense of purpose, benefits all ages. Teenagers, young adults, and adults of any age are better off and report that they're happier if they have a sense of purpose. Recent studies also show that purpose is linked to longevity. People with a sense of purpose tend to live longer. And purpose, feeling like we have a purpose, is good for mental health and can help us overcome depression, anxiety, and other psychological conditions. Purpose matters even in the toughest of circumstances. As Nietzsche famously said, some of you might have heard this quote, "He who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how." I always liked that quote. And research actually supports what he was saying. There have been, many anecdotes and reports from people in war situations or really tough emotional personal circumstances that reported that as long as they felt some kind of sense of purpose, they were feeling better off. It even applies to people who are struggling with health issues. Recovery benefits from having and maintaining a sense of purpose. I will share the links to some of these research studies and my resources in the end, so you can read up on those a little bit as well. Okay, so that's just a brief comment on why purpose matters and why we should think about it as we're designing our next act. Often I get the question, but what exactly is purpose anyway? So I'm offering or inviting you to consider maybe 4 different lenses. And I'm not necessarily saying that these are the only lenses, but these are 4 that typically are used when we think about purpose. We can look at it from a psychological angle. And so purpose sits at the intersection of meaning. What does it mean to me? And the contribution to the world, what matters to the world. We can look at it through an existential kind of philosophical lens, purpose as a reason to be, something to live for that allows us to bear almost anything. From a coaching lens, which shows up for me a lot with my clients, purpose kind of serves as a guiding North Star, and it integrates values and strengths and service. It's almost a daily practice of how we're using our energy. And then we can look at it from a narrative perspective, which we will do today as well. From a story perspective, purpose is the through line that connects all parts of our career. So some of you might be drawn more to one definition than another. Maybe all of them sound right. We actually originally had this as a poll, and then we were thinking, this is too hard to choose. Let's just tell them what those 4 lenses are. So when we look at it, when we look at purpose from a narrative perspective, as I said, I like to talk about it from a 3-act story structure. And, again, back to my Pixar past, the 3-act story structure works so well because it completes a full story that resonates with people. Now, there's some, if we talk story science, other people like to use 5 arcs, and there's even 7 arcs, but there is an underlying 3-act structure that people are very familiar with. So reflecting on our story arc can help us think about our purpose, find our purpose, and decide whether we are living in alignment with our purpose. Maybe something is missing. And so reflecting on our story arc can help us with that. Applying the 3 arc kind of framework is also helpful for us to see how we're changing over time. In Act One, we developed our foundational relationships. We went through key growing experiences and internalized our core values and beliefs. In our second act, we start to experiment with our foundation, and we try on different identities. We grow, we learn, and we evolve who we are. And in our third act, we make sense of our story arc, build on our experiences, decide what's missing in our story, and maybe even find a new sense of purpose. Some of you are approaching your third act, some of you are fully in it, and some of you are still far away from your third act. We can start, to Lisa's earlier point, we can start thinking about our story act no matter where we are. And I'm just noticing a post in chat too, that I want to thank you for putting the Nietzsche quote there too, Carrie. And then Jill, you were saying it feels like there might be one aspect missing, looking at purpose more around the impact you can and want to have in the world. Yes, such a great point. And when we talk about our social CV a little bit later today, we will directly ask that question. What is the impact I want to have in the world? Great point. Thank you for that. Okay, so now I'm going to invite you to grab one of these pieces of paper that you have in front of you. And this may look familiar to some of you. Some people are familiar with drawing the journey line. Regardless of where we find ourselves in this three-act structure, it's helpful to reflect again. If you've done it before, I've found people who've done this many times find something new when they do it. And so I'm inviting you to just take a blank piece of paper if you've never done it, just draw a straight line across in the middle, kind of like it's just depicted on this slide here. And below the line will be moments that they call valleys, some not so great moments maybe, or difficult moments in our life. And then above the line, we would have peaks. So show a few peaks and valleys for each part of your life. And if it's helpful, use the ACT 1, 2, 3 framework. So instead of the dots that you see here, you would write maybe graduation or birth or death of a loved one. And remember, this does not have to be complete or comprehensive. Just mark on it what comes to mind right now as a valley or a peak of your life journey. When you're done, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. When you're done, just sit back and kind of look at this picture for a minute and think about, okay, how did my values shift over this time? Now, why am I asking you about values at this point? Because shifts in values can lead to a shift in purpose and, to Jill's point, to a shift in the impact we want to have in the world. So, for example, if I'm valuing recognition and being seen in the world, I might decide that I want to be a leader and I want that to be my purpose. If I'm strongly valuing altruism, for example, I want to give back to as many people or give to as many people, be in service of many people in the world. So our values can help with finding our purpose. One of the first things I often do with coaching clients is a value inventory so that they can think about what really matters most to them. So I'm going to turn on some music and time you for 5 minutes while you draw your journey line. And please let me know if you have any questions in chat or just speak up. And 1 more minute left. Do reflect too on the values as they might have shifted over time on your journey line. All right. So hopefully this was enough time for you to think about your journey line. Even if you didn't completely finish or maybe didn't get to really fully reflect on shifting values, something I would encourage you to maybe continue doing on your own. We are going to move into breakouts for those who are up for a breakout right now. And if you would rather not, then this is a good moment to continue your reflection. But here's what's going to happen in the breakout. Lisa is going to give you some logistics, but you'll share as much of your storyline as you feel comfortable sharing. And then if you have some sense on how your values shifted over time, please kind of share that as well. And how did it link to your sense of purpose? Did that shift along the way too? What did you notice there? So that's your task in the breakout. And Lisa, did you want to say anything about the logistics a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Heidi. So yes, as Heidi mentioned, breakout rooms are optional. So if you are not in a place where you feel like you can speak comfortably or share, you can just hang out here in the main room. And for those who are going into breakout rooms, I'm going to put you into groups of there'll be groups of 2 to 3. And if you are in a breakout room waiting for someone else to enter, just just give me a minute. I will make sure that if you're in a breakout room alone, that I'm moving you to a room with someone else. And so if somebody does come into your breakout room, please just welcome them and have a little grace with like the timing as I'm moving people around. All right. So you'll have 12 minutes total. I will at 6 minutes let you know that 6 minutes are remaining. And then with 1 minute remaining, you'll get the notification that rooms are closing. Any questions before we move into
Yeah,
those?
there's a question about whether breakouts will be recorded, and I believe the answer is no, right?
Correct. They will not be recorded. Okay. All right. Here we go. And again, if you are waiting for somebody to join you, just give me a moment. I will match you or move you to a room. Okay, so rooms are opening and then have fun.
See you soon.
Hi, hi, I'm Diane, and I just went into my meeting room and no one was there.
Diane, I had just moved you to room 3 to be with
Oh,
Bruce. So if you go down to the bottom of your screen, you should see an option to join room. And if
joint
you click
breakout
there,
room. Okay,
yes. Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Everyone is in a room with at least one other person now. And I will go until 12:12, Heidi. So at 12:06, I'll give them the half minute or half time remaining.
Karen and Carol, if you have any questions or thoughts, happy to be engaged during this time as well, if that's helpful. And Lisa, is two people are in the main room, right? Is that right? Or am I not seeing everybody? Maybe. Oh, there's Marianne.
We have many people here with us in the main room.
Got it. Okay.
That's fine that everyone's
That's
hanging out
totally
here.
fine. And we don't even have to talk, but if anybody has a question or would like to chime in, happy to engage.
I think those questions can just be fun for self-reflection as well,
Yeah,
just thinking about
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
I'm putting this up for Avi to just show what we were doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Of course. If you have any questions about it, let me know. And so the dots would reflect, an actual word there, like maybe it's graduation or a birth or a death or something you celebrated. And we went over, what you missed was we went over the Act 1, 2, 3 framework, kind of our origin story, and then what our middle of our life journeys are, our quests, so to speak, and then how we might design our third act. So we were applying it in that way to this journey line.
Okay, everyone is back now.
Welcome back, everyone. And we're actually going to stop the recording just for a minute so that we might hear from a topic here. So here I want to share another viewpoint. So when we look back, and it's always been so important for my clients to look back and analyze their story arc like you all just did. It's really a crucial step in finding our purpose. And that, again, is true for whether we're early in career, mid-career, or end career. Like, where am I in my story arc? What might be next? What do I want to leave behind? But it's also important to not get stuck in kind of the analyzing mode. When we are in transition, especially, it's important to just go and try things. And so you see Herminia Ibarra's quote here, only partially agree with her quote, because I would have added the successful reintention comes not only from, because I find definitely the experience of my coaching clients is that both are equally important. But this is a really important point to make. Going out and trying new things and holding this explorer mindset can help us find our purpose and not get stuck in just analyzing what was the past. Anything else I want to say about this? Some of you might know Herminia. I think she taught at Haas for a while, but it's an important point. And I'm sharing in the resources, one of the books that you'll notice there is called Scare Your Soul. And that's along the lines of this explorer mindset. Just try something, even if it feels uncomfortable. And you might discover new purposes that kind of eluded before. Sounds like somebody else. Oh, yes, and From Strength to Strength is another recommendation in my resources as well. Looks like other people have read it and liked it as well. So yeah, so you'll find a list of books in the end of my slide deck. I'm shifting us a little bit right now to this question of what do you do? When we are figuring out our purpose, our next act, our next steps, the question, what do you do, often is complicated. And it sometimes confuses people, like, how am I going to answer this? I'm in transition. I'm not quite sure what's going on with me right now. Some of my clients have recently been laid off and are having a hard time finding a new job. Others are approaching the end of what they see as their career, and others are still searching, what is this arc that I'm after? So for all of us, the question of what do you do can be complicated. In the US, our work, our title tends to be a big part of our identity. I'm a lawyer, I'm a professor, a programmer, an administrative analyst, a researcher, a teacher, a chef, an executive. We're so used to kind of responding with titles or maybe organizational affiliations as well. That's where we go to first. But what if there was a different way of describing who we are and what we do? One that describes more what we care about, what we're good at, what we want to do more of, and where we want to have an impact, to Jill's earlier point. So we're going to look a little bit at this concept of this social CV, which was first, it's a little bit hard to figure out who came up with it first, but I know the Stanford Center for Longevity had something to do with it. But here's how it works. It basically has 6 parts. The first part in the top left corner there describes our current circumstances. And that can take many forms. So somebody might say, I'm exploring new options. I'm in transition. I'm reinventing myself right now. Some of you might say, I'm loving my life. And literally, the options are endless. It's interesting for those of us who are either close to retirement or thinking about retiring or are retired. Many folks don't like the term, I am retired. If you watched The Last Class, the excellent documentary about Robert Reich's teaching career, you heard him say, "I deeply despise the word retirement. I'm not going to sit on a front porch," he said. "How can I give up what I'm good at and feel called to do?" So for some, "I'm retired" comes with a personal and societal stigma. Then in the top right corner of the social CV, we describe what we care about. In the middle row, we describe what we value and how we maybe already are supporting our community, our friends, our family. Bottom left, what we want to do more of. Again, the impact question. And finally, bottom right, we might even say something about our strengths and how they help us having the impact we want to have. So that is the framework. And I'm going to just share for a minute what that sounds like for me, just as an example. Sometimes it helps to make it a little bit more concrete. So the end product would be a few sentences, maybe. I am. All what you see there on top is currently true for me. I might just pick one of those. I'm redefining myself. I'm helping others. I care deeply about helping others through transitions, especially as they are designing their post-career lives. I value connecting with other humans in a deep and meaningful way. Like so many in my age group, I balance everything I do with various elder care challenges. And I want to deepen my connection with my third act clients by adding a community element. I'm good at listening deeply and bringing people together, and that has helped me to have a real impact with my third act clients. So that's just an example of what it might sound like for me. So grab another piece of paper and create these 6 boxes. I'm going to invite you to think about them for yourself. I'm actually going to move back one slide so that you have the description in front of you. And again, I'm going to give you a few minutes to just do that and think about what would that sound like for me. Any questions about this social CV and what I'm asking you to do? If not, please just take about 4 minutes to do that, 4 to 5 minutes. Put on some more music.
Heidi, we had a request
Yes.
to repeat the instructions.
Okay, so grab a piece of paper and let me just actually go back here. And you, as you see on this slide, kind of create these 6 boxes, create a table with 2 columns and 3 rows, and then you answer for yourself what your answers might be in this, in each of these boxes. So where do you find yourself right now? What do you care deeply about? What are you valuing? How might you already support your community, your work colleagues, your friends, your family? And what do you want to do more of? What's the impact you want to have? And how are your strengths already supporting that impact? Hope that helps. We lost the music along the way.
I can hear the music now.
Good, thank you.
Sure. Heidi, you're on mute.
Sure. Apologize for that. So I'm repeating the instructions here for the breakout. How might you introduce yourself now using your social CV? How did you feel working on your social CV? And what part of that social CV do you feel called to work on more? What interested you most to kind of explore more deeply? So in the breakouts, again, for 12 minutes, support each other, listen, ask questions, and off you go.
Before we break, can you show the chart again, Heidi, just real quick?
Yep.
Thank you.
Also,
Just go back here.
I'm going to put you generally in the same breakout room so you can continue the connection and conversation. And if I notice that somebody didn't join your room, then I will move you into a room with others. All right. Again, 12 minutes. I'll let you know when we're at the halfway mark. And here we go.
Are you moving me into a breakout room, or am I supposed to be able to see it on my menu bar?
Oh, Avi, I will put you into a breakout room. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for telling me about the audio, Lisa.
Sure.
I didn't think I was going to make that mistake again. Still, after all these years on Zoom.
It happens.
Yeah,
Happens to me too. You just forget, like, oh yeah, I muted myself.
exactly.
I joined late as well. Could I also get a smaller breakout room?
Yes, Marianne. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you for letting me know.
Thanks.
Did you get the
Mhm.
instructions, Marianne?
Yeah, I've been working on it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
If anyone else would like to join a breakout room who is unassigned, please let me know, and I will gladly invite you to a breakout room.
Welcome back, everyone. I think people are still joining back.
Yes, everyone will be back in the next 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Sure.
So as you're joining back, I'd like to just maybe stop the recording one more time, Lisa, if that's okay, and just hear a few voices. I want to touch on a few other things here. Let me just go there. So when we are kind of designing our next act, and again, this applies really of any stage of our life, when we try new things, when we become somebody that we maybe weren't already, there's what people have called the triple threat of reinvention. And I was trying to find out who said that first, and it was impossible to find like the origin of it, but people have used this term. And so there's the kind of three different versions of this threat. We might start to see ourselves in a different way. How does this impact how I see myself if I'm now this new person, or if I'm living now this different purpose that I haven't lived before? What will my family, my friends, what will they think about this? And finally, are there any community or societal norms that might actually get in the way of this? So those are just some things to be aware of, that they might inhibit our moving forward. It doesn't mean that we have to pay attention to any of them, but being aware of them and choosing what we want to pay attention to is important. Similarly, when we are trying to come up with a new version of ourselves, expanding our story arc, building on our purposes from our past, our limiting beliefs happily speak up usually. They are jumping up with sentences that might sound like these here. Oh, I'm too, whatever that adjective is, or I'm not, I could possibly not. I could never, or anyway, I'm terrible at. So our limiting beliefs come up often when we create new futures for our life and when we try out new things. So I teach a whole class on navigating our limiting beliefs, but one of the most important parts is to notice when they speak up, to get curious about them, because usually they have some kind of protective goal when they speak up, and they want to make sure that we're not getting too risky in our behaviors. So being aware of them, noticing them, and then deciding whether this voice is actually serving us right now or not. Is it holding me back? And is that a good thing? Or should I try to reassure this voice that actually I will be okay, even if I go this new route? So the triple threat that may come from the outside, our friends, our internal voice, and these limiting beliefs are something that we should think about when we are trying to design our next act and be aligned with our purpose, and just notice when they come up. So I want to hear just for a minute from anybody in the room or in chat, like how have limiting beliefs been influencing you as you try to come up with new ways of designing your story arc? Any insights that the group has with regards to that, or with regards to the triple threat? And I just want to summarize for the last few minutes what we talked about so far, or in our time together. We talked about purpose and why it matters to longevity and health. And again, there's some links and resources in the resources. We can look back and see patterns in how our story arc, our values, and purpose evolved. And we can do that regardless of where we are, even if we're early in career. And I know we had a few people early career. That's still helpful to look at to date. Like how has my arc evolved, and how have my values shifted? A reflection on our story arc can help us find what's missing, what other purpose we might want to embrace. And a reminder to keep that explorer mindset, uh, hold that as we go forward. It's crucial to reinvention, to really trying new things. And the social CV can help us describe what we do without relying on job titles or organizational connection. When we design our next act, how we see ourselves and how others see us might hold us back, but we get to choose what lens to give power to. And then finally, we touched on limiting beliefs. So I'd love to maybe spend the last few minutes on for your thoughts on what is real for you as next steps. So just a couple of minutes reflection here of what is a mini maybe step that you want to take soon, one thing you want to explore, and maybe also one conversation that you want to have. So I'm going to give you, let's see, we're at 50. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to think about that. And then I hope we can hear from some people. So this is just your reflection. What you're going to walk away with today. All right, I want to make sure that people have a moment to name their intention either in chat or out loud. And Lisa, sorry to do this to you, but can we stop the recording one more quick time? I just want, before I end, I really want to thank Lisa for all her help with this. I could not have done this without you. So thank you so much for your help. And so if you have questions or more well, let me first tell you about the resources. You'll see them in the slide deck. Some books here that people might be familiar. And I want to just highlight the Greater Good Science Center that has so many good workshops as well around purpose and happiness. And so if you haven't explored that yet, I'm sure many of you have, but that's definitely a good place to explore. The Modern Elder Academy has also really great resources. And then you see the links to some of the research articles. If you have thoughts around my material or comments, I would love to hear from you. Here's my email. And I know you have coaching at UC Berkeley, and many of you have access to that. But if you don't and are interested in coaching, please reach out. Any thoughts from you? I would love to hear about them. My website is on here too, and it was such a pleasure to meet you all. And thank you so much for joining the workshop today.
Heidi, thank you so much. It's been such a joy and a pleasure to work with you and appreciate all of your time and generosity. Our Now Encore series presenters do this pro bono in sharing their time and expertise. And so Heidi, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you all for showing up for yourselves and for one another to reflect and engage and share. I'm going to follow up with an email. I'll share links to the resources, the deck. I've also put a link to the evaluation in the chat. And if you'd like further discussion, I invite you, and the Retirement Center invites you to join the Opportunity Circle on Friday, December 12th. And the link is also in the chat. I'll share more information about the LIFT program in my follow-up email. So have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording. If anybody has any comments or questions, we maybe can stay 1 minute. So thank you all.